Hey, this is Lisa Frost, and I'll just out myself now. The lighting's kind of weird today, guys, but we're going to roll with it anyway. So, today we're talking about the difference between resilience and thriving, and really how to move from surviving to thriving. And yeah, I've been reflecting on resilience lately because it is a massively hot topic. Everybody's wanting to know, how can you be more resilient? What does it mean to be resilient during this period of time? Like, what does resilience actually look like? And I'll tell you, I'm a little bothered by the idea of resilience because it means some specific things to me that I think we can do better. What it basically means to me is that, we are looking at how to bounce back, how to return to normal, how to get our ground underneath us as quickly as possible. And all of that language is really survival language. And the truth is there's nothing wrong if you're in a place right now of just feeling like you just want to survive everything that's happening in 2020. Totally understandable. And yet, I think that we can challenge ourselves to go beyond that. I think that there's actually some ways that we can look at this series of crises as an opportunity to grow and evolve. And let me talk about what I mean by that. So recently I read a great book by Nassim Taleb called Anti-Fragility. And it basically covers the fact that certain things, including systems and people and other structures and objects even, are able to not just bounce back from stressors, not just resist volatility, but actually become better because of it. Now, the truth is that human beings are definitely like this. We actually need stress in order to grow. And so if you take that a little bit further and start to ask, well, how can I use what's happening right now, these stressors that I'm under, how can I use those as an opportunity to grow? So we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But first, if you are definitely interested in this topic, if you are right now trying to figure out how to make the best of everything that's happening in the world, pop in a comment because I'd love to hear about it. So yeah, decades of research into resilience really tells us that certain people can actually do this better than others. They are often termed by researchers as being super resilient. And what that basically means is that they are able to not just bounce back from issues and challenges and things that they're facing, but they in fact have a completely different mindset around them, and they're able to use it as an opportunity to grow. Okay, so researchers have shown that there are several psychological factors that actually make you more resilient. So I guess the question is, how can we become more resilient by concentrating on those psychological factors? So let's talk about them. The first one is independent. So people who are super resilient tend to be independent and autonomous. Why does this matter? Because they meet the world on their own terms. They're self-starters, and they don't wait for anybody else to actually tell them how things should be. This is a big deal. Independence is something that actually can be grown. So that's good news, right? All right, so number 2 is a high degree of openness and flexibility. A high degree of openness and flexibility. So why is this important? People who have a high degree of openness and flexibility seek out new experiences. They look for adventures. They tend to take more calculated risks. So this is, again, big deal here, openness and flexibility. Number 3. Is an internal locus of control. Internal locus of control. What does that mean? People with an internal locus of control actually perceive themselves as having control over the situations and circumstances of their life. Maybe not completely, but what they know is they can certainly control their way of responding to those circumstances, which means they actually can control their happiness. So that's a big deal. They can control their happiness. All right, number 4. Is a growth mindset. Now, if you read any of Carol Dweck's research, a growth mindset essentially means that, that you believe that you can develop your skills and capabilities over time through dedication and hard work. and that you see failure, challenge, and mistakes as an opportunity to grow and evolve. So that's excellent too. And what she found actually in her research is that even understanding what a growth mindset is actually helps you to develop one. So let me repeat it. People with a growth mindset actually believe that their skills and capabilities can be developed through hard work and dedication, and also that mistakes, challenges, and failures are an opportunity to grow. All right, number 5. Is a positive social orientation. So what does this mean? A positive social orientation basically means that you have strong supportive ties in your life and that you seek out those ties, those connections as a way to express what's going on. So you lean on those ties and ask for help. So people with a strong positive social orientation, they seek support, they ask for help. That's a big deal. So I'm going to put social and support here. All right, number 6, this is the final one. So people with super resilience tend to have a high degree of self-efficacy. So self-efficacy. What does that mean, self-efficacy? Self-efficacy basically means that they use whatever skills that they possess effectively, and that they tend to develop and apply a more diverse range of coping strategies. So, geez, that's something we can do too, right? So I hope you can see that all 6 of these are actually things that you can develop and grow with. And that makes you more resilient in the current situation. Okay, so here's something else you need to know. Researchers actually found that not only can we increase our resilience, but that resilience can decrease over time too. And that may be something that we also have control over. So let's talk about the reasons why resilience might decrease over time. And if you've been experiencing this, pop a comment below, because this is something that a lot of people are reporting right now. Because the first thing is that if you have a tendency to ruminate, to worry, or to exaggerate the stressors in your own mind, you can become less resilient over time. So if that has ever applied to you in your life, pop a comment below, because that is something that you can control and that you can actually do something about. The second one is when there are too many intense stressors all sort of showing up at the same time, back to back. That can really take a person down. And for a lot of people, that's one of the things that is happening this year. There have been so many external stressors, from the pandemic to being concerned about, the personal concerns about health and safety and families' health and safety, to what's going on with the racial issues in America and elsewhere, to the weather patterns changing, to various disasters across the country and across the globe. There's all kinds of things that are happening right now that are stressors. And that's not even to mention if you've had a job loss or a job change or whatever is going on with that, or financial issues. People are sheltering in place with family that they don't tend to maybe spend as much time with as they are currently. So that's highlighting any places where those relationships may not be as healthy as you wish. There's lots of reasons why people may be feeling like there are too many intense stressors right now. And the worry, the rumination, and the exaggerating of that stress in your own mind will actually exacerbate that problem. So those are 2 things to make sure that you are taking a look at in your own life. How can you let go of some of the stuff that's coming up as it arises? Because we can't always control how many things are coming at us, but we can definitely control how we're responding to them. So let's talk about how to do that, okay? Because I think that this is the piece that's really going to help you feel like you can start to thrive rather than just survive. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so yeah, so what are the choices? I believe that really it does come down to some choices that you can make on a regular basis. This is a day-to-day basis. And so let's talk about what those choices are. The first one is acceptance. Acceptance. So what that means is choosing to accept the reality of the situation, to be able to look unflinchingly at the truth and to just surrender your resistance to what's happening. The truth is that life is unfolding in a particular way. It may feel personal, but it's not personal. It's just happening. And the faster that we can stop resisting, and what do I mean by resisting? We tend to resist reality by wishing that it would go away, by acting as though it's not happening, by pretending that something else is going to happen at any moment, by negating not talking about it, hiding our head in the sand. Like all of these are ways of resisting what's happening. And so accepting the reality of the situation, choosing to accept the reality of the situation is the first choice that you can make on a daily basis. And essentially, that's just being neutral to what's showing up, being able to say, yeah, this is what's happening. And now I have to deal with it, right? Okay, number 2. Number 2 is to choose to believe that you can make it through this. Now, the truth is you've made it through so much other stuff in your life already. Like you've had a ton of experiences that you've had to overcome. You've had a ton of issues and challenges that you've had to rise above. So you can get through this in the same way that you've gotten through things in the past. Is this something you've dealt with before? Probably not. The things that are rising this year are things that pretty much none of us have dealt with before. And yet there are challenges that we can draw on the experience of. So definitely choosing to believe that you can make it through this on a daily basis is a huge deal. Number 3. Number 3 is to choose to feel your feelings. Without what? Without repressing them, without exaggerating them, and without releasing them on others. And why is this important? What happens for us as human beings, like we all have feelings, and our feelings are part of our internal experience. They're important because they are a state that just moves through us. And the thing is that if we don't allow that movement of energy through us, then it can become stuck. Now, there tend to be kind of 2 camps on this one. There's the repressors, and then there's the releasers, right? And so let's talk about them, because you probably fall into one of those camps. And if you know you do, pop a comment in and let me know which one it is, because I'd actually love to find out sort of how we're split on this. I tend to be a repressor. So what does that mean? Well, when hard feelings come up, I tend to go to work. Like I start focusing on the things that I actually feel like I have control over. And so I don't allow myself to feel the feelings because the feelings are uncomfortable. So the problem with that is that over time, those feelings stack up. And then all of a sudden something happens that's like the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. Is that how it goes? And all of those feelings just come rushing out in the form of anger or whatever else. And so then I'm releasing it, right? But it's like a volcano that builds up over time. So the problem with repressing those feelings is that they do end up coming up, and they may come up as big blow-ups, but they also may come up as just kind of leaking out negativity in your personal relationships, which isn't great either. So repressing doesn't work as a long-term strategy. The second camp is the releasers. Now, these are if you're one of these, the releasers, then basically what happens is as stuff comes up, you're just expressing and releasing and sometimes even exaggerating what those feelings are. That's also difficult because what ends up happening is you release those feelings on others, and then you've got interpersonal issues, right? You have problems with people feeling like you were attacking them, or feeling like, maybe they feel like there's no space in the room except for your feelings, or whatever. Any kind of feedback that you've gotten on this, you may know what I'm talking about. But the thing is that there is a middle way. And the middle way is to simply feel your feelings, to be aware of your feelings, and to allow them to pass through you, because that's what feelings do, right? They give us information and then they just pass through. So feeling your feelings without repressing, exaggerating, or releasing them on others is a big deal. Number 4. All right, number 4 is actually choosing to employ positive coping strategies like self-care. And what is self-care? This is like kind of going back to the basic, guys. This is good nutrition, good exercise, hydration, sleep, making sure that you are getting out in nature, making sure that you're taking care of yourself, right? Basic self-care. That is a positive coping strategy. There are other positive coping strategy too, like meditation, mindfulness, journal writing. There's all kinds of things that you can do that are positive coping strategies, but you have to choose to employ those positive coping strategies and to engage in self-care. So that's the 4th choice. Number 5. Number 5 is self-compassion. So what does self-compassion mean? Self-compassion is just like exercising compassion for another. Instead of treating yourself, instead of having the negative thoughts and self-criticism, instead of that, you're actually being compassionate with the fact that you are a human being and that you make mistakes and that things happen that are beyond your control. And so having the positive self-talk, being able to understand when you've made a mistake and look for something that is positive to come out of that, as opposed to using it to beat yourself up. All of those things are self-compassion. You have to remember, you are only human, and everything that you're going through right now are things that other people are going through too. We're all struggling. It's difficult. We're under a period of immense stress. So keep that in mind and see if you can dial back the self-criticism. Number 6 is, this shouldn't come as a surprise, is to choose to connect. Choose to connect with your social ties. And not only to connect, but to share your experience and to ask for support. Share your experience and ask for support. This is super important right now. It's important for us to feel connected at all times. We are social creatures, but it's really, really important now. Okay, number 7 is to choose to look for opportunities in what is happening right now to grow and evolve, right? This is one of the things that we talked about in the psychological factors, that people who are super resilient believe that challenges are a place that they can grow and evolve. They're a place we all grow and evolve. So looking for opportunities to grow and evolve with whatever situation you are facing, super important. All right, I have one more, and it is the bonus one, and I'm calling it the bonus one because this is kind of the ninja move. This is the one that will allow you to release the trauma fully, ultimately. And this one is also a bonus one because it may not be something you're doing on a daily basis, but it's something that you've got to choose to do if you really want to process something all the way through. And that is gratitude. Gratitude. So what does this mean? This is actually the super ninja move of resilience, I have to tell you. And the reason why it is because if we can get to a place of gratitude for whatever we have experienced, and usually this is on the other side of the experience, but if we can get to a place of gratitude for what we experienced because it catalyzed our growth, then we can actually release the trauma fully. And what's beautiful about gratitude is that it's based in that we understand how we grew and evolved through the situation. But it actually allows us to believe and feel even more confident that we can do things like that in the future, that we can really face anything that we're given. And so the gratitude piece, while it might be the most difficult piece to try and access while you're actually in a crisis, it is ultimately the strongest of all of these. Here's the thing. I'm actually going to give you an experience of this. So take a moment to close your eyes. Just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths with me. And as you release that last breath, think back on a situation that you faced that was really, really hard sometime in the past, something that was really difficult. And just bring that memory up of having to go through that. And keep breathing really deeply. And as you have that thing in your mind, take a moment to reflect on how you grew and evolved as a result of going through that. What were the gifts and opportunities that became available to you because you went through that? And just allow yourself to see that right now, how you actually became stronger, more resilient, better because you went through that. Take another deep breath and bring that in and allow yourself to feel a sense of gratitude for that. To be grateful for having gone through something that gave you those gifts, for having gone through something that created an opportunity for you to grow and evolve in that particular way. And just notice how you are a better human being for having gone through that. You are a stronger human being for having gone through that. And don't just think gratitude, actually let yourself feel it. Feel it all the way down. You can even say to yourself, I'm totally grateful for that opportunity to grow and evolve. And take one last breath. And open your eyes and come back. So gratitude is a big deal, and choosing to actually take the moment to have gratitude for those past experiences where you grew and evolved is important because it is the integration of those experiences. It allows you to process the experience all the way through and to let go of any trauma that was associated with the experience. Now, it isn't necessarily something you're going to be able to do while you're in the moment. And if you can, that's fantastic. If you can actually access gratitude for going through a crisis or some stressful situation as you're going through it, that's fantastic. But if you can't, then take the time afterward to do this, to go back and to find the gifts that you received from the situation and to allow yourself to feel that gratitude, because this gratitude lets you increase your belief that you can make it through anything life throws at you. And really, you can. So again, acceptance of the reality of the situation, belief that you can make it through this, feeling your feelings without having to repress them or overly express them and release them on others. Really, self-care and positive coping strategies are incredibly important. So self-care instead of negating yourself. Self-compassion instead of self-criticism. Connecting with others, and not just connecting, but asking for help. Finding the opportunities to grow and evolve, and finally having gratitude for the ways in which you grew and evolved. So I hope this has been helpful to you. These are the things that you can do to increase your resilience through the rest of 2020 and anything that life throws at you. And if you enjoyed this, I'd love to hear from you. I respond to all comments myself. So please do leave a comment and let me know what you thought. I would love for you to like this and pass it on if you think you have somebody in mind that could really have a boost in their own resilience right now. So please do pass it on. Please do like it, and please come back next time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.